Ladies and gentlemen, how you all doing? This is Ulrich.
This is Rangru, low.
And folks, today for your viewing pleasure, we return to the Balance Mod Finals. Going on today on Shchedrin. Rang, we saw these guys on Tuesday. What do they bring in today?
On left-hand side in blue, we have Herr Robert playing 4th Munte with a Vanguard income. Right-hand side in red, we have Nilla playing 9th Kavalrie with a V for victory income.
I'm not really sure you're saying V for victory. It looks more like an N for North. Not just the North Korea part. But huge amount of initial investment over here to the northern side. 1, 2, 3 tanks, 5 squads of legitimate infantry, several recons, several machine guns. Looks like he's going all out here. Why is that only in the north?
That is a good question. I mean, we usually see people try to rush the northern side, but it's definitely a very infantry-heavy rush. I like how he's popping... Oh no, Herr Robert's popping smoke here to cover his flamethrower troops. That's actually going to assist the infantry a bit and moving up a bit closer.
Now, not to quickly shift things already, but there are a couple of Kazakhs down here in this southern town. Papa Shah is in full force here, but the Detanuti and the Venatori with the Panzerfausts, I mean, these guys should be capable in pushing things back.
Yeah, I hope that for Herr Robert's sake he realizes just how aggressive Nilla has invested up north and pushes hard in the town, because as we can see here, this is a real skeleton defense apart from the TU2, which is gonna completely blow up a city block.
It is, and forces 2 guys down undercover, which is, you know, pretty good. It's
not
pretty
bad.
Good. But 1 Kazakh squad has already been taken out, which is a very, very different experience. Usually we see this eastern side of the town. Well, you know, from our view over here, John, on the right-hand side, we just see an absolute absurd amount of troops and material being poured into that town. But to not see it as a meat grinder is oddly comforting, you know? I'm very happy to see that.
Yeah, and this is actually working really well here for Nilla. He's making great aggressive plays up north here. The T-34 is going to be flanking the TACAMs, and he is, you know, getting time to get those reinforcements down south, and Herr Robert is really missing out on such a beautiful opportunity.
He is, and I think it's just that kind of tentativeness because, you know, it can't be he's only got a couple of troops in this town, right? Like, it's got to be more than that, of course, so...
Yeah, I understand. And also, just he's probably very focused in trying to plug up north. He's probably not thinking too much about the town, because if people don't really push you too heavy in the town, you just don't really think about it. We are finally seeing those Detanuti making their way forward. Making their way downtown.
I was going to say, walking past and faces past, they're homebound to Romania here pretty quickly, I'm sure. But not without serving up those Kazakhs a few stiff drinks first. Pushing them back here, guys. Yeah, those Mannlicher K98s over here are pretty good. 95, excuse me. They're still pretty darn good when they have 15 of them. The firing squad and a half.
I believe they shoot a little bit faster because they're street pool boat action and not a regular boat action. So definitely a good rifle to spam.
Really, I hadn't realized that they're straight bolt. Interesting. Okay.
Oh yeah.
You know, I should know this, but the straight bolt, doesn't that kind of have a lower muzzle velocity just because the gases don't get captured?
I don't think so. I think it's just some more weird mechanical stuff within the boat and the action. That's why you don't see it as often. Like, I think it's also you have to have a pretty good locking mechanism.
Well.
Yeah, it's a gun. It shoots.
Well, I've never had a gun that didn't shoot in my hand so long as I believed that it would shoot for me. So that worked out pretty well.
He must be really good in finger fight tournaments. Or finger gun tournaments.
I do what I can. I'm like, you know, Cuphead, he was modeled after me. So finger guns, exactly. I was around in the 40s. So I've been told. Razvedka's over here in the meantime, engaged in a lot of infantry in that town. And for the most part, these guys don't have really the best armor, obviously. You can see them being taken out basically by that Pac 97 over here to the southern town and southern streets. And what we were seeing in the meantime was actually we're seeing that northern push has slowed down an incredible amount, and I'm really quite surprised by that.
Yeah, Herr Robert's doing a pretty good job of thwarting Nilla for the time being. Nilla has got good initial territorial gains. He does have the lungs under his control, but surprisingly, he hasn't been able to completely knock out the northern hill already. That is about to change.
Yeah, well, you know what? At least he's got control of that, like you said, those lungs. And once you have your enemy by the lungs, he's gonna run out of breath. Like my man, insert rock artist here, said, it's getting harder and harder to breathe. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, I think all those Romanian infantry must be acting like kidney stones. Or Russian infantry, I should say.
Well, it'll certainly be very painful for Herr Robert to have him pass anytime soon, that's for sure. And down to the south, here's a more consistent grind fight that we're used to. This is the true grindhouse. Like, I don't care. This isn't early Tarantino. This is the true grindhouse in my mind.
Yeah, this is finally the town fight starting to become the meat grinder as we know it. And Herr Robert's making pretty decent progress here. We're seeing a lag come in, do a little bit of damage. But yeah, just all those Kazakis are gonna be a big rule which Herr Robert is gonna have to break through.
And all things considered, if you want somebody to kind of be sitting in the front lines, I would totally send in Kazakhs. Like, those guys are just nasty MFers. TU2, what's he looking for? He's looking for Pack 40. Interesting decision there. JU-87 starting to pound a lot of those infantry positions, and indeed going after the Oznats? No, going after the southern Kazakhs. I thought for some reason he might actually go after the officer. Silly
Nope. But the Pack 40 survives, lucky bastard. One guy left, so maybe the Kazaki Molotov can finish him off.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by that. Just if nothing else, I think it's because with the Hotchkiss and the 20 mil and the 20 mic down to the south is going to be just enough, I would argue, to keep that air power from being too accurate.
Yeah, just enough to make him think twice before dropping any bombs.
And unfortunately for him, I mean, if you want to look at that, there are flame troops on the territory, literally on the flag itself, and those Kazakhs, you know, from a mile and a half away, just kind of smoking a cigarette and just controlling that territory.
Yeah, that's a problem with those two-man flame troops that don't have a whole lot of frontline firepower, so to speak. Or influence, there we go. Well, JU-87 does have influence. You know, that was actually pretty pathetic for such a accurate strike package.
More Kazakhs to the south, which is, I think, just in time to catch the Venatores over here. And these guys are still excellent assault troops.
Yeah.
I feel like if they just gave them just a little bit of explosives, that would be beyond delicious. And Takim's over here in the meantime going to be engaging and killing that T-70 Razvedka, just basically leaving it with lots and lots of machine guns, which aren't going to do diddly squat.
No, they're not, but we're seeing the LA7 hero, which I'm not even going to try and pronounce, trying to shoot down at Recon Blenheim. And really do it? No, he's too fast for his own good.
I think we'll be able to get that turn in time. Yeah, 6:45. Wait, where did that airplane go? Jeez.
It phased out of existence.
Clearly, like, I haven't learned that particular skill. I gotta figure out how to do that myself. One thing I am noticing here is that the anti-air, the 88 really from Herr Robert, has been far more active than what we saw in the game over here on Tuesday from Nilla's side in that same position.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see about the differences, I think, in approach and how they built their decks? Do you see anything kind of unique about it, other than the fact that we don't have the R35s, which are
I was going to say,
yes.
that's pretty much it. It's just the R35 spam. I mean, apart from that, I mean, there's a lot less tanks from Robert's side. But yeah, I mean, it's really this infantry, air power, and anti-tank weaponry which leads a Romanian 4th Munte to victory.
JU-87 strikes over here to the northern positions. Northern one not as well aimed. The middle one looks like it's going to be dead on target, and that actually could have the lungs find themselves certainly needing to catch their breath. I think the Vickers is just enough to keep the hero unit away, though. And
yeah,
that was one dark bomb there. I'm not sure I understood what really happened.
But yeah, Herr Robert is managing to recapture one of his lungs at least, almost. and he really needs to try to get onto the offensive. As with his income, I mean, with that Vanguard against V for victory gets a little bit weird. I mean, early on, he does have a slight advantage, and same thing in B phase, but if he does let the game go on for too long, Nilla's just going to out-eco him by quite a bit.
You know, and that was something we were discussing over here on Tuesday. The balance mod does a really good job of, first of all, kind of toying with your heartstrings a bit, because you don't know, oh yes, I have to survive for 10 minutes, I have to survive for 3 minutes, I have to survive for 6 minutes. It's kind of like the econ shifts when the wind, the mind tends wanting to. So it's like, you don't expect it 10 minutes every single time.
Yeah. I think the most important balance change with the balance mod was that they buffed the Piat to 60% accuracy.
You're making that into a joke, but I actually agree with that.
It hits 60% of the time, 100% of the time.
Oof. I also forgot how well armed those Kazakhs are. Just looking to the south, engaging sniper teams, engaging trucks. I mean, yes, they are getting hammered right now by just tons of sniper fire, which is just delicious in all the wrong ways. Especially when you have a double sniper rifle on those Venatori Shchedrins. I'm going to just kind of masticate over here. But yeah, wow. You never really truly appreciate these things until you see what these guys can do on the front lines.
Yeah, the Romanians have an awful lot of snipers within their infantry embedded, which is quite nice. Does see in town fights like this, not so nice when they're getting blown up by bombs. That definitely stops your sniping days. It's like someone calling a Harrier strike on you when you're, on a 6-kill streak in COD 4.
I can honestly say that never happened to me, and not because I was that good of a player, because I never picked up the game. At least from the multiplayer side.
Yeah.
Oh man, but so Kazakh Papa Shal's over here aggressing in. I don't know if he's really going to get close enough to actually engage the Pioneer from a close distance, but the front line over here for the Romanians has been butchered. Of course, I say that as the Detenuti over here do control several flags, bringing it to a 14-10. So well done there.
Yeah, it's true. I think it's going to come down to the central position. I mean, this town fight is going to be way too much of a bloodbath for Herr Robert to actually make any progress. Same thing with Nilla. I don't imagine these front lines changing too much soon, but knowing that I just said, yeah, they're going to change soon.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's just what's going to happen. But, yeah, in the central position, there's just so many more flags that you can fight over. I mean, if Herr Robert wants to get that +2 advantage, he needs to just pretty much completely secure the central and northern part of the map. Which shouldn't be too hard. It's not a whole lot of Nilla's stuff there. And with 9th Cav, you don't have a whole lot of armored units or anti-tank. If Robert can beat him out in that front, he should be in a pretty good position.
Forgive me, I'm watching the game of Let's Shoot Down the Recon plane with 37mm.
Will they do it?
And, well, if they don't do it, the Ju-87s are still coming on in, so there's plenty of targets in the area.
Yeah. I find it fascinating how they're using a bloody Blenheim bomber. The Romanians are using a British Blenheim bomber to do reconnaissance work in Russia. How did they even get? I'm guessing Dunkirk or something, but that's pretty impressive to capture foreign aircraft. Unless they were sold to the Romanians, I have no bloody idea.
I actually think they were, because I think the Blenheim, that particular Blenheim was out. It was an interwar recon.
Yeah.
It was an interwar bomber that was out of date, I think. So it's like one of those Spanish Civil War things where they were like, yeah, this is even kind of bad for us, and just kind of dipped.
Yeah, someone in the comments will give us an accurate description, because that is a weird piece of equipment. It's also like with Hungarians getting 25-pounders.
It's been a long time since I've gushed about this in the first place, so I'll take the opportunity to do it now. I was saying to a couple of friends of mine over the weekend that I love doing this just because I mentioned that I was doing this in the first place. They're like, oh, well, it's kind of crazy. What do you do that for? And my thought was, honestly, I get to do this, and I get to learn from all the commenters who actually get to share that stuff with me. I don't know, man. I miss Rooster. I haven't heard from Rooster in a while. I feel like we gotta see something outrageous, so he stops on by.
Yeah.
Zis3's in the meantime, though, dropping different bombs, knowledge bombs over here, and the Venatori are learning very quickly you do not want to walk over an open field when you have Zis guns trained in that area.
Yeah, that's gonna do a decent amount of fire support here. Actually, Zis guns being used as an artillery battery, which is quite nice. You don't really see it being used all too often, unfortunately, but it is a very useful tool, as we're seeing, as all those Vanatoris are Vanagoni back down the hill.
Show them what they've won, Vanna. That would be a lifetime of explosions and death.
Oh, my favorite.
Exactly. Part of your balanced breakfast every single day. Also, oddly humorous, we have a pioneer over here who's engaging a sniper from close range. So clearly one guy didn't take his no-scope skills. But it is back to 12-12.
Yeah, things are really starting to stabilize and slow down a bit now. The front line is getting a little less ronky, but, you know, this has all really been a benefit here for Nilla. If he can get to that sea phase, that income is going to be absolutely huge for him. But he doesn't have a whole lot of sea phase units to really exploit. He does the infantry and, like, an airplane and some supply trucks, but, I mean, I think the armor advantage is going to be pretty tough for him to deal with.
Yes, but there's a piece of me that kind of says 32 Kazakhs and 6 more TU2s.
Yeah. Oh, there's a card of 6. Oh, yeah, okay, that's pretty good. Never mind.
Yes, it is.
I take that back.
I don't need tanks.
I'll
bomb me to the Stone Age. But more Kazakhs being delivered over here to the northern side just to, I would say, shore up the defenses, and just in time, too, because the number of Detonutis over here being thrown into the fray. By the same token, more troops to the south. So it's really quite strange. I feel like Herr Robert has kind of missed an opportunity.
Yeah, especially, it's really just a very early game. He could have just pretty much walked through the town, just killed 1 or 2 Kazaki PPSH squads, and completely capture it. To be fair, I don't think I would have done too much, because, yeah, you can capture the town, but from his end, there had really only been an extra flag under his control, and it's very hard to really exploit out of that town to the rest of the southern side. It's this radar open, that bridge is a bloody choke point. It can be very difficult to maneuver from here.
Yes, but counterpoint, at that point you don't have to invest another 30, 40, 50 points every 30 seconds into that southern position, which means you have more points to throw into the center, to throw into the north. I mean, the lungs themselves have been rather sparsely defended until the last probably about a minute or so over here for Nilla. So if you push early in the town, you free up more troops for later. And heck, maybe you toss in, I don't know, a machine gun or 2, get an MG34 or 2 in there, and that's about it. Then you can just go elsewhere.
Yeah.
But
I'm just saying, like, I do like how Lung's position, Nilla's essentially set up just a bunch of fire support guns just to keep Herr Robert back. It's essentially like a, World War I trench line, but with more artillery.
Yeah, absolutely. And those Maxims, they are old school, but they are old school and they work. And they have, what, like 48 rounds? No, 5,000 rounds of ammunition.
It's actually really impressive how long the Maxim gun stayed around in service for. It's like a legitimate, very good machine gun. Yes, it was very heavy and it had to be rotor-cooled, but in an actual setup and placement, that thing will just keep on firing.
I mean, it was pressure tested in the desert. That's kind of hard to beat.
Yeah.
But we are seeing in the meantime that Nilla is taking it in the shorts, as Herr Robert has seized a 15-9. Of course, as I say that, B4 in the north goes down. There's Kazakh troops over here in the meantime just, pinging off rounds with their PTRDs. But MG34s, there we go. So now we're seeing a base of fire being sent to the north, and I feel like this is kind of what you need to do.
Yeah. Yeah, you just need to have fire support vehicles so you can control the open plateau, use those Panzer IVs efficiently, get the infantry up that hill and just start clearing everything with overwhelming firepower. The MG34 spam is definitely working out quite well for him. You need the anti-tank guns. You need everything that has a lot of high explosive firepower, is what I'm saying.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
You can't just throw in infantry by themselves, and the airplanes are not working out great now. Those 237mm managing to shoot down Romanian aircraft right out the sky before it even gets its bomb load off.
You know, I was distracted by the fact that it looked like there was an attempted breach over here in the south in that town. Not quite yet. Apparently I was certainly getting ahead of myself.
That's a lot of infantry in that southern town, man.
It is.
It feels like both sides should be able to make some sort of maneuver, but no.
Right now, the only maneuver they seem to be making is the Heimlich maneuver. And yeah, I think the only, and I'm just saying right now, like it's just a bloody mess.
It is a bloody mess down south, and Herr Robert hasn't been able to, really capture that one flag, or same thing with Nilla, managing to get those 2 important flags in the town. It's just been, a Stalingrad fight of, fighting for meters.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. But hopefully that town will not be turned to quite the same amount of rubble. And I say that, and of course, and that's when another TU2 comes on through.
Yeah.
So the front line over here, those poor Romanians, the leading squads are just going to evaporate. Yep. There we go.
Yep. We got Juncker coming in to pay his respects too, with lots of high explosives.
No, I think it's rather nice. He wants to go and pay his respects. I think he probably needed to work on his delivery on that particular joke. But other than that, I mean, it's a hell of a punchline.
One you can't miss.
he found a way.
Yeah.
Let's see. The T-34 spam is in full effect here, and I don't know if I should be cheering or weeping. Not because of any kind of preferential treatment. I've long since discarded that with my mortal concerns, such as when will that PAC 97 actually do something? Will the T-34-76s actually kill it? But with those T-34-76s, super cheap, solid tanks to kind of put into the fray, and facing up against those P-4s, even over here into C phase, they're not unreasonable.
No, they're not too bad, and they're relatively well priced in the mod. But in an open ground engagement at long range against Marder 2s, they're not going to be performing all that well.
This is true.
Yeah, well, I guess the Marder 2s don't perform all that well too, because they don't have a whole lot of armor. And you kind of need armor to survive. That's a pretty important aspect of a tank.
Ah, no, their faith is their shield. The Emperor protects, but not them.
Okay, Commissar Khan.
Commissar Khan, yes, exactly. Exactly.
Okay, if I ever make a 40k Commissar miniature, I'm calling him Commissar Khan.
Either that, or I get to be part of the White Scars, one or the other.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a bad choice, but just, man, the flavor for them is so cool. Kazakh SVTs, I always forget the 9th Cav too. It's just Kazakhs for days.
Yeah, who needs guards, who needs strokies when you got Kazakhs, and honestly the Kazakh troops are pretty good. They're a slight, different flavor compared to your guards and the strokies, but, they're usually a little bit smaller squads, but with better CQC weaponry. In a town fight, that's not bad.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's excuse me. Choking on my own sense of mortality here.
Oh, I do that every morning.
Yeah, but that's...
It's like, oh, I made it to another day.
It's close. It's close. What did we say to the Lord of Death? Not today. But we are seeing squads of T-34s and Kazakhs starting to aggress onto these lungs, and I don't know if I really relish their chances, because there still are PAC 97s, there are these marauding P-Shreks that are coming forwards. Very misguided sense of their mortality, I'm sure.
Yeah, things have really just slowed down, all things considering. I mean, once again, Nilla managed to capture that central flag just because, a flamethrower team doesn't have any frontline influence. True. At the same time, I mean, how Roberts managed to capture Nilla's flag, so we got some yin-yang crap going on there.
Yeah, I can certainly see that. I can certainly see that. But now, actually, thinking about this here, Kazakh SVTs, better town fighters than your kind of, vanilla Kazakhs, better town fighters than your catch up with Papa Shah's? Like, what are we thinking here?
I know they are pretty good because they do have 10 SVT. I'm gonna say yes, mainly because they have more HP compared to regular Kazaki squads, which are only usually like 9 to 8 guys. So I'm gonna say yes.
I mean, I do know the SVTs got slight nerfs as time went on in the base game. I think the balance patch has also done a slight nerf to them as well. I'm sure someone's going to fact check me there.
Probably Gensei.
Probably Gensei. You're right. But the range for them is it's still way better than those submachine guns, and the rate of fire, I would argue, is just, I would say the damage just per second is just a little bit better than the bolt actions as well.
Yeah, and also in town fights. I mean, SMGs are nice and all, but you know, there's quite a lot of like long-range engagement, so to speak, in terms of infantry, small arms. So having the semi-auto rifles just gives you a little bit more flexibility.
You know, and I was tough talking all of those positions over here on the lungs, and it seems I gave the Romanian positions a little bit too much. What's the right word here?
Hyped them up too much?
Yeah, because the T-34s brushed them aside. And no, the Kazakhs haven't taken anything really super duper worthwhile just yet. But MG-34 is moving over the open. I imagine if those tanks get anywhere close to that, it ain't going to be pretty.
Yeah, I think it's mainly because he had the 97-38, which are pretty low velocity 75mm guns. Not that great at long range against T-34 76s. I mean, they have a challenge, but that's quite a few T-34s. He really needs like those Marder 2s, Pack 40s, and other more high velocity guns, TACAMs, to really seal the deal.
Well, you got one Marder and one P4 coming here to the northern position, but I don't think they're really being offensively placed. I think it's more of like a suggestion for later on.
Yeah. I do like how all the way up north we are seeing 60mm mortars being used, and this is perfect. As just of how clumped up the infantry positions are on that hill, he can do, you know, a surprising amount of damage, and heck, even drop some potential smoke to push up on that hill.
Probably a good idea, but apparently it seems like here Robert's mother told him that there's no smoking in her household, so he's not taking advantage of that blocking just yet.
Yeah, Nilla's a very respectful boy, that's for sure.
And that's what you want, though. That's what you want, because he's not taking advantage of it either. M3A1s are going to start to engage those MT-34 positions, and the 12-7s are delicious.
Yeah. You know, running out of ammo soon, but I guess it's kind of a good problem to have.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of artillery, we could have seen a Katyusha over here from Nilla a long time ago. Is that a mistake, and why is it a mistake?
you just want to hear the orchestra, and hey look at that!
Come on, Stalinian organs? Like, come on, that's too good.
Yeah, we are finally seeing run up north here. I think he didn't really need. I guess down south it would have been pretty useful, but it's more of just a delay in action for the northern side. But he really wants those 60mm mortars dead. And they're out of ammo, so you know, for Herr Robert, might as well kill him.
Well, the thing I actually kind of like too is after we see little Katya speak, we are going to look down to the south. T-34 76s that were in the lungs have been just completely repositioned down towards the town. Which I like, but at the same time I absolutely loathe. So we'll see how that goes in just a second. But the mortar teams, yeah, these poor sods. Suppressed as the day they were born. No kills, surprisingly enough, but still
I think it's because they're on like the slope of the hill. Sure. It's harder for the artillery to get a direct hit on them, or just bad luck because, you know, MLRS in this game isn't the best for sniping enemy units.
No.
It's more just suppression.
Break up the attack, break up the defense.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, speaking of the attack kills, T-34s down south are actually providing a decent amount of fire support here, but we do have a few Marders in the town at Pack 40 on the hills in a really good position to snipe any T-34s if they move up a little bit closer. But, yeah, I mean, Nilla also doing a very good job on the lungs. getting his Kazakis up here.
Now, I am also watching as the martyrs start to engage the Sherman. No kills just yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if it happened. Ooh, yes, geez. There's another... This is over here sitting in ambush. Oh, wow. Those are really great positions.
Yep, those Martyr 2s. Why is he moving up like that? That was a very silly move. A really silly move.
And with that, there is nothing else down to the south other than a very, very panicked P4 coming to the front lines that can engage any of that armor with any chance of victory.
Yep, and there's not a whole lot of anti-tank in the infantry either, so if Nilla does move up here in the town, just get a bit more infantry, he should be able to get those 2 flags, which is a pretty big deal for him.
Well, it's already a 12-12, so I'd argue it is a pretty big deal enough to get back to that even kind of playing field. And he's not quite control A, but it's pretty darn close.
Yep. We're seeing... Oh, I like his pussy from Herr Robert on the tip of the lung here, getting those detonutes and bringing in autocannon half-track. I like this quite a bit. Nilla bringing in the off-map, but of course, I mean, this is the balance mod. That off-map is going to take quite a while for it to actually do any damage.
True.
Which I quite like. Makes it a lot less panicky and more you kind of have to plan it out.
Yes. So I'm watching the southern push over here as the Pack 40s, I don't think, can see their most intended targets. No, the tanks are just moving in, quasi-rushes here, so well done there.
Yeah, there you go. Managing to maneuver around deadly anti-tank guns, mobile wagon backing off, and rightfully so. You don't want to be fighting a T-34 and you weren't issued AP ammunition. It's no Landsberg.
No, he's no Nimrod.
No, not at either.
One T-34 does peek out his head and gets it blown off for his troubles. I think we might see, yeah, JU-87 is going to be called in on top of that, but MCHA sitting in support, the Zis guns moving forwards. Okay, you take out, one of my tanks, I'll just send your aircraft to the morgue.
Yeah, I think this is really, the time when Nilla's advantage in terms of points is really starting to favour him. As I think we've been in C phase for quite a while now, and well, there's a lot of infantry and lots of tanks still being brought up here from Nilla. And he can just keep up his momentum, he'll be in a pretty good spot.
Well, here's a question. I'm looking at the lack of reinforcements to the south. Do you think Herr Robert is giving up on the south much in the same way you were saying before? Like, yeah, you know what, even if Nilla takes the town, he's not going to aggress that much?
I'm going to... I think so. He's definitely putting his chips on the table up north, just with the amount of recruites and tanks he has up here, but... Nilla is still holding onto that hill. He is king of the hill of that area for damn sure. And, I mean, Herr Robert trying to push into the opposing lines, but with that pretty much platoon worth of Kazakis being brought in, he's going to get forced back.
The thought occurs to me. When do you stop investing in a theater? When do you stop pushing on one side? When do you call it a lost cause?
That is... a good question. I think my most basic answer is when you've invested just too many points. And, you need to make territorial gains. I can't give you like a specific time or formula, but really once you feel like you've hit a brick wall, if you feel like you've just done like 2 to 3 attacks, you don't want to end up having like 7 battles or 12 battles of the Isonzo River.
I was waiting to 12 battles and here's an Isonzo comment.
Yeah, it's an Isonzo, yeah.
Luigi Cadorna notwithstanding. Remember though, this game over here is where the points are made up and they don't matter, so I don't know if I fully agree to the kind of like the equation portion of it. Katyusha barrage to the north, about as equally effective thus far. To the first one. Oh, there we go.
There we go. You get one lucky hit and down goes an MG-34 team. Not bad, not bad. But the hill was still under Nilla's control, and the lungs still under his control too.
Oh yes, the hills are alive with the sound of rifles. It doesn't quite have the same ring to it as the sound of music, but I can assure you that is one bit of rain you don't want to be caught in. Oh man, but the recruits over here, as you must suspect, getting turned into dog meat. SVTs over there just to make them miserable. It doesn't matter. There's still a couple of Venatories here and there. But it's just a wave upon wave of infantry.
Yeah, and Herr Robert, I mean, he's really having to dive into his CV's recruitee card now. I think he's out of most of his good stuff at this point, and well, recruitees aren't great in offensive operations, especially against Kazakis. He does have armor support backing him up, so he has that at least. And that's actually working somewhat well. Nilla's been forced to fall back from his town position.
For the moment, yes. For the moment. But I would argue that in the same way, all he really has to do is just trade bodies for time. And now as we have more and more of these Osnats Imperials over here, with this S2s moving up, Emcha is still around, and he's got 3,000 rounds for the various machine guns. So, I mean, probably not worth just kind of saying, oh yeah, you know, life's still good. So
it is pretty insane how much machine gun ammunition you can put inside of a tank, considering also you have, like Rotovat Sherman, almost 100 rounds of, over 100 rounds, no, just about 100 rounds of, like, 75mm. It's just amazing how much you can fit into a bloody tank.
I think part of the headcanon for me is he's carrying some of the rounds in the back of the tank.
Yes.
So, yeah. And which wasn't unheard of. I mean, at the same time, they gave Hillbilly armor as well. But I feel like a lot of the armor, especially the small rounds, they're not carrying that puppy inside.
No, I think actually everything was loaded inside. Most of the outside storage was just for, like, personal items, just crew personal items and tarps and jerry cans and stuff. Because I think if you have the ammunition outside and they get hit, you'll have a bad time. True,
but at least you know what, I'm going to stop trying to talk out of my backside on the off chance that I am in fact whistling Dixie. We are seeing still as a 1410, and while it's not noting that life will be all over here for Herr Robert anytime soon, still not a good thing to be seeing. I'm sorry?
That's a weird bug. Yeah, it's not showing the, like, the thing actually tick down. Yeah, once again, it is... Okay, yeah. Weird. It says once again, renew cast modded replays. Things can get buggy. We know this from first-hand experience. And there we go, here's the tab.
And honestly, a bit of a surprise tap over here as it might seem. But if you look at that, folks, the southern town completely gone. And with the TU-2s being brought in, it doesn't matter how many tanks you destroy. He couldn't do anything about that air power anymore. All of his aircraft, I think, were getting killed.
Yeah. Essentially, Nilla set up a very good, like, defensive wall. And, I mean, Herr Robert tried to push down south, meat grinder, push in the center, meat grinder up north, bloody meat grinder. And then Nilla managed to counterattack later on with his better income and take the victory and also win the balanced tournament. So congratulations.
Indeed. I mean, he is number one. I'm not going to say North Korea for any particular reason, but, you know, for the fine viewers that we have, if this in fact penetrates into North Korea, which I don't know that it does, hello. In the meantime...
or one person watching this in North Korea. They're taking down notes for military tactics.
You know what? Honestly, if that ever came out, I think I would die a surprisingly happy man.
Yeah.
Looking at kills and losses over here, there is one Noble Pack 97 over here who's killed 3 T-Series tanks. And a TACAM over here has got 5 or 6 kills, but 3 of them are just Razvedkas, so we're not going to count that.
One Vanatory.
Oh.
The Mikalea, he did pretty decent.
He certainly
knocking out an anti-aircraft gun and 2 anti-aircraft guns. God damn.
The reverse, not true. The 9th Cav was certainly partying hardy pretty much through most of that. Most of these guys doing just enough to get by, except for the Osnats Nepiri, who's killed 5 squads.
Yeah. But yeah, like, for the balanced mod, I mean, all the kills have been pretty balanced out. No one's been too, you know, too super weaponry. I'm killing 12 tanks and walking home.
Exactly. But hey, you know what? Every now and again, that's got to happen. And I'm honestly always pleased to see when everyone kind of mucks in.
Yeah, it's not like you're having to rely on 1 or 2 subunits. I do
Yes.
like seeing, like, infantry and medium and light armor play compared to just lots of heavy tanks and IS-2s, King Tigers, Panthers, and shirt heavy tank here.
Exactly. Exactly. But any final thoughts there, sir?
No, just good games, and once again, thanks again, C for the mod. It's great fun to cast. It's a nice change of pace, fixes a lot of the issues with vanilla Steel Division 2, and hopefully we see more modded tournaments soon.
Indeed, indeed. Folks, until then, I am Con Ulrich.
And I'm Ring Gru, take it easy.